Hey, welcome! Today we're diving deep into those weird little rituals and beliefs we call superstitions. You know, things like avoiding cracks on the sidewalk or carrying a lucky charm. These ideas have a strange grip on us, don't they? But where in the world did they come from? Let's find out.
Come on, I bet you have. It's almost a reflex, isn't it? You say something out loud that you don't want to jinx, and bam, your knuckles are rapping on the nearest table. We do these things without even thinking, but every single one of them has a deep and, honestly, a pretty surprising history.
You know, the word itself actually gives us a huge clue. It comes to us from the ancient Romans. They used the word superstitio to describe this feeling of, well, almost excessive religious belief. It was this idea of standing over something in total awe, or maybe even fear. So this wasn't just about a quirky little habit. It was a really powerful emotion.
All right, let's start with something we think is pretty solid: numbers. Or are they? As it turns out, what one culture thinks is an unlucky number can be totally meaningless somewhere else. It really depends on where you are on the map. So, in a lot of the Western world, Friday the 13th is the big one, right? It's the day you're supposed to be a little extra careful. But if you're in Italy, you can totally relax on the 13th. For them, the day you really need to watch out for is Friday the 17th. So, what gives? Well, the origins are completely different, which is fascinating. The fear of 13 is often connected back to the Middle Ages, specifically the 13 guests at the Last Supper. But the fear of 17 in Italy, that comes from a super clever bit of wordplay with Roman numerals. See, the number XVI can be shuffled around to spell vixi, which in Latin means I have lived, which is kind of a polite old-school way of saying I'm dead. Spooky, right?
Okay, but now let's hop over to a huge part of Asia. Forget 13, forget 17. Over there, the number that really gets people's attention is the number 4.
Yeah, this fear's a real thing. It's called tetraphobia. And it all comes down to language. In languages like Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, the way you say 4 sounds almost exactly like how you say the word death. The connection is so strong that you'll find plenty of buildings that just skip the 4th floor. They'll go straight from floor 3 to floor 5.
All right, so it's not just about numbers. Some of the actual things we do are rooted in really ancient history. We're talking about rituals that have somehow survived for centuries, even millennia, and are still part of our lives today.
Let's go back to knocking on wood. That little tap-tap goes way, way back to ancient pagan beliefs. The idea was that good spirits actually lived inside trees, so knocking on the wood was like calling them up, either to ask for protection or to say thanks for some good luck.
And what about spilling salt? Ever done that? Back in medieval times, salt was incredibly valuable, so spilling it was a really bad sign. Like you were basically inviting the devil over. So they came up with a fix. You take a pinch of that spilled salt and you throw it over your left shoulder. Why the left? Because that's where they thought evil spirits would be lurking, and the salt would, blind them.
Even something we see as pure good luck, like a horseshoe, comes with a big debate. Are you supposed to hang it with the ends pointing up, like a U, so it holds all the luck inside like a cup? Or do you hang it with the ends pointing down so it pours good luck on anyone who walks under it? Honestly, people still argue about that one.
This all leads us perfectly into our next topic, signs and symbols. As humans, we're always looking for meaning in the world around us. But what an omen means can change dramatically depending on who you are and where you are.
Oh, this is a great one, the black cat. In the United States, if a black cat crosses your path, that's a classic sign of bad things to come. But, get this, if you travel to the United Kingdom or to Japan, that exact same cat is seen as a symbol of good luck and prosperity. Same event, totally opposite meaning. How wild is that?
Okay, our next symbol is another number. By itself, it doesn't look too bad, does it? It's not usually considered unlucky. But it is at the very heart of one of the most famous superstitions of all time.
Yep, 7 years of bad luck for breaking a mirror. But why 7? Why that specific number? Well, once again, we have to go back to the ancient Romans. They believed that a mirror didn't just show your face, it showed your soul. They also had this belief that the human soul completely renewed itself every 7 years. So, if you broke a mirror, you were damaging your soul and you'd have to wait for that entire 7-year cycle to be over for it to heal.
So, we've looked at the history, the culture, all these amazing stories. But what does science have to say about this? For our last section, let's explore the psychology behind why we hang on to these beliefs, even when our logical brain knows better.
And this is where things get really, really interesting.
Modern psychology has actually found that, in a way, superstitious rituals can work. Now, not because they're magically changing the world around you, but because they are changing you. Performing a ritual can have a real, measurable effect on your mind.
I mean, just think about it. Carrying a lucky charm or maybe wearing your lucky jersey before a big game, it can genuinely make you more confident. It gives you a sense of control, which in turn helps lower your anxiety and sharpen your mental focus. In a way, these little rituals become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Which kind of leaves us with one final big question. We've seen that these beliefs come from everywhere, from ancient spirits, medieval fears, even just weird coincidences in language. But if that simple act of knocking on wood is what gives you the confidence you need to nail that presentation, does it really matter where it came from?